Happy Valentine's Day, everybody, and of course, welcome on back to the Cars Garage, because today we're going to be taking a look at none other than Wedding Day Stanley and Lizzie, who are actually some of the most rarest cars that I have in my collection, because they were only ever available at the Disney parks, so Walt Disney World and Disneyland, two places, not really available online or anything like that, and as of now, in 2023, they're actually going for around $500 in the package, which is pretty insane. But I think loose they go for maybe around $200, so even though these ones are open, they lost some value, it doesn't really matter. I'm glad they're open for the sake of this video. Of course, I got them back in 2014. It was almost 2015 though, because it was around New Year's. And these guys actually first debuted in 2013, so that was almost a whole 2 years later after they were initially released that I found them. So I don't know, I don't think they still sell them now. I mean, this would be now 8 years later, so I doubt it, but you never know. I mean, I'm pretty sure they don't, but I was just surprised that I found them there. I wasn't really in the know back then when I went, because I was pretty young, but I was just really happy to see them. I knew I had to get them. I also picked up a few other Disney Park exclusive cars, like McQueen with his Mickey hat right there, and of course Mater with his Goofy hat. Those are, of course, classics. They still release those to this day. Now, these versions of Stanley and Lizzie, because of course Stanley's not alive in any of the Cars movies, of course. He was the town founder of Radiator Springs way back in 1903. And these versions of them in their wedding attire, of course, appear in the Cars Toons short, Time Travel Mater, which actually came out just a year after Cars 2 in 2012. So it's kind of a weird short because, of course, most of them came out in 2010. And then you just had a few come out just sporadically throughout the next few years. But Time Travel Mater was actually one of my favorite ones because I just love that it actually, instead of just telling this goofy story, it actually went ahead and told like a story that we wanted to see, like the making of Radiator Springs. It's really cool short. And of course we get to see Stanley as he's alive, not as a ghost, not as a statue, but actually fully alive. And I mean, he's just such a cool car. Of course, Lizzie and Stanley, they're both Model Ts. The first car that Ford ever created. Really the first car ever. I don't know if that's the same case for the Cars universe, because of course, I mean, there had to have been cars before Lizzie and Stanley, right? So I'm not really sure how that works, but I don't think anyone's quite sure, not even Pixar. And these versions of them are just so cool. They're so iconic too, because of course, we don't really get very many variations of Lizzie. In fact, we've actually never got one. Not one, I'm not kidding. Unless you count Lizzie with her radio, I guess, but that's not really a different diecast. This right here, this Lizzie, this black one, is the only one we've ever gotten. Because Lizzie just doesn't really have a lot of variants. You could put a cone on her head and say, hey look, you got the one from the Pixar popcorn short, Unparalleled Parking, but really, I mean, Lizzie just doesn't have very many variants in the movie. I don't even know if she has any, like, notable ones. I know Mattel's never released any, in Diecast at least. Now, Mattel actually ended up releasing a 3-pack for Time Travel Mater as well, also only exclusive to the Disney parks, which included another version of Stanley, more like in a brown, like, western theme, which is how he looks in the beginning of the short, when he's a radiator cap salesman. And then it includes McQueen with this, like, brown look, and the Mater with this brown look. It's very, like, trying to be, like, very old-school Western theme from 1903, of course. And then Mater has his little clock on his engine. So, it's a pretty cool 3-pack. I would say, I don't know if I think it's probably a little bit more rare than this one, but I'm not really sure on that. But I do have to touch on the packaging for this pack, because it's absolutely stunning. It's got the courthouse in the back. It's got some other Ford Model Ts. And it's really just like it's like a scene from the short. It's so cool how they designed it. I really do like it. But anyways, of course, like I said, they're both Ford Model Ts. It's just so cool to see Lizzie in not only, you know, just a new look, but a whole new color. I mean, she's completely white. Now, like back in the day, Lizzie was not white. She's only white here because, of course, it's almost like a wedding dress. Cars can't really wear clothes. So, you know, what do you do on the wedding day? Well, you just paint yourself white. Stanley, of course, just kept his normal black color scheme. Understandable. And Stanley's got this really cool just married sign on the back. hanging down. I feel like it should say just hitched. And then what's his license plate say? IOIS? What? Or 1015? I don't know. Hard to tell. Of course, Lizzie's classic license plate, MT23, for Model T, 1923, I think. Actually, I'm not sure. Not sure what the 23 stands for. I think so. 1923. But I thought Radiator Springs was founded in 1903, so I don't know. Of course, Lizzie's got these cool little pink flowers, nice little bouquet there. Really nice and vibrant. I'm glad that Mattel added that. These are actually like real, like pink roses. They don't seem like carified flowers. Usually the flowers in cars, they always try to carify them, like tail light tulips, stuff like that. Speaking of tulips, I put some back there to add to the ambiance. And then of course, Stanley just got this really goofy looking expression. Really just perfect for him. Perfect for his character. I love all the brass on Stanley. On his radiator cap, on his headlights, underneath his mouth, and of course on his like little rivets, I guess, in his rims. Very cool. Of course he's got white tires. You know, gotta be dressy for the wedding. And this whole back section back here, this is like, I guess, his compartment where he, almost like a trunk, I guess, of the olden days, where he keeps all of his radiator caps. And in the beginning of the short, when he's meeting Mater, he shows him how it works, and it all comes out, and it displays this really cool little setup of radiator caps, which he sells, and he goes around town, and that's basically the story. Mater has to urge Stanley to stay, so he teleports McQueen in, I guess, and then they just basically have to make Stanley stay in this desert, which is soon to be Radiator Springs. That's how the town is formed. That's where he meets Lizzie, of course. Then they get married at the courthouse. I didn't actually realize the courthouse is the first building in Radiator Springs. But speaking like of the actual diecast, there is a lot of plastic. For being a Disney Parks exclusive, I'm pretty surprised at how much plastic there is. This little top section here, this little overhang over his eyes, and then all this part, of course, all of this part down here on his like step stool, I guess, and his rims, or his wheel wells, I should say. That is all plastic, unfortunately. Of course, the wheels are always plastic. This whole back section here, all the cans, they're all plastic. So it's a little unfortunate. Stanley is, for being like, it's really one of his only diecast release. This is surely not very much metal, but I mean, it's more for looks. I wouldn't recommend playing with these ones. They're pretty rare. So I guess it really doesn't matter all that much. One thing I don't like though, the cans. They really should be detailed. I don't know what color they should be. I have watched a short not that long ago, but I didn't remember to check what color the can should be. But I feel like they shouldn't be silver. I guess I can't say for sure. But of course, it makes a cool rattling sound when Lizzie and Stanley drive off into the evening night into Radiator Springs. I believe it says on the back of the box they honeymoon at the Comfy Caverns Inn. I don't even know where that's at. Somewhere in Carburetor County, I guess. But of course, taking a look at Lizzie now. She just looks so beautiful for her wedding day. Now instead of the like the brass trim that Stanley has, Lizzie's got some more silver chrome trim. It looks a bit snazzy. Her tires aren't like on the actual like tire part. They're not completely white. They're more like a cream. Very nice though. It's just nice to see Lizzie with a new expression, because I never cared for her old expression here. It just doesn't mimic how she looks in the movie at all. It looks way too goofy. I just never been a big fan of it. We'll compare them in a second. Of course, she got this really cool veil over her head. So cool looking. They really detailed it very well. Carified it as well. Look at all the intricate, like, little flower designs. It's supposed to be like a tire rim. Some of them I think are just like tulips and stuff like that. Looks like maybe a sunflower there. So cool. Lizzie just looks so good in white. I think Lizzie should have just kept the white after this. Why'd she go back to being black? Looks so pretty. Even it looks like her window's inside. It's gonna be hard to tell because this is blocking it. Yeah, can't really tell. Looks like, yeah, they just painted white right over her windows. Classic Mattel. I feel like that's probably not correct. Not completely accurate, but I'm not really sure. Even the rims, that little tire on her back is completely white. Look at that. So cool looking though. And then she's got like this little, almost like a little crown at the front. Not really a crown, but I don't know. I guess it's just a part of the veil. These little circles. But you can kind of see like where the veil is attached to the metal, so it's a little ugly in there with the black on top. But, I mean, I guess it's alright. Mattel needs to attach it somehow. Let's take a look at the bases now. Let's read the date stamp. So this one says 1293. So the 129th day of 2013. So yeah, these are guys, I guess. Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I found them in late 2014. Basically, early 2015. Let's read Stanley's base. What's his say? What's that say? 1993, I think? Yep. Interesting. So they were both made around the middle of 2013. Which would definitely make sense how I found them in late 2014. But anyways, it is Valentine's Day, so I wanted to show a few other Valentine's couples after we compare Lizzie's here. Really cool. Her rims are the exact same though, just different colored. The back still got that red dot. I don't know what that means. Oh yeah, they changed her license plate from black to yellow, I guess. Technically from yellow to black, because this one appears before this one does, long before. Of course, Lizzie's voice actress, Catherine Hellman, I believe her name is. Actually, I believe she passed away in 2019, so yeah, that kind of sucks. But luckily, Lizzie is still alive in the Cars universe. She just doesn't really talk anymore, which is kind of unfortunate. Pixar obviously included her in Cars on the Road and in the 2 Pixar popcorn shorts. Lizzie actually was pretty much like the whole star of those Pixar popcorn shorts. She really took over the unparalleled parking one at the end there, and then she was dancing a lot in the Dancing with the Cars one. So she's definitely had a little bit more attention than she used to get. Of course, Lizzie's never had a huge role in the Cars movies, but she's always just been a background Radiator Springs Townie. But of course, let's show some couples now for Valentine's Day. Here's, of course, the classic McQueen and Sally. I thought I'd grab McQueen in his cruising paint job from the classic Shaboom scene in the end of Cars. Look how good they look together. And of course, if we're talking townies, we can't do that without Ramon and Flo, the low and slow riding couple of Radiator Springs. Flo with her tail fins. Ramon with his much smaller fins. But still, they're there. They look so good together. And one of the more obscure couples, it is of course John and Nancy from Cars 2. The kissing couple from the Paris scene, when Mater's driving by the bridge in Paris. And this is of course supposed to be John Lasseter and his wife, or John Lasseter and his wife. Of course, the director of Cars 2. But it's cool that they released these. I was going to review these for Valentine's Day, but then I'm like, I feel like Wedding Day, Lizzie and Stanley are, I mean, they just deserve it, of course. And also because Stanley is finally getting a re-release in 2023. Of course, not this version, but his statue plastic version, really just an accessory. I wouldn't even call it a diecast, because it's really not. But it is getting a new Thailand variant in 2023. I don't know if it's out yet, but I know it'll be in a 2-pack with red, which marks the second time, I thought it was the first time, but I guess it's the second time that a deluxe has been featured in a 2-pack. So that's pretty darn cool, pretty exciting. I know it's just red, but still. But with that, everyone, thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, hope you have a very happy Valentine's Day. And I'll see you all next time on the Cars Garage.